The UN had a survey back in 2012, and it was estimated that approximately 345 million people in Africa don't have access to water, let alone clean water. That's why I decided to do this organization called Charity Water. Basically, my experience when it comes to this organization is I have a friend from Ethiopia who actually goes to this university, and I couldn't think of a organization, and he actually highly recommended it because he worked with them last summer. And so that's why I chose to do them. Basically, in the speech, I'll talk about the history of Charity Water, what they do to combat this global crisis, and also examples of projects that they do. So first off, I'm going to start off with a brief history. It was started by a man named Scott Harrison, who was actually a New York nightclub promoter. He decided that he was living a little too lavishly, so he then decided that he would basically change up his whole career. He then became a photographer and also worked on mercy ships working in Liberia, basically going on a spiritual hiatus, just walking all around Africa helping people. While there, he noticed a lack of education, safety, and health, all directly correlated to not having clean water available in the villages in Liberia. He then established Charity Water in 2006. And this basically all skyrocketed after a girl named Rachel Beckwith. And basically what happened was on her 8th birthday, instead of getting like presents and everything, she decided to she asked everybody in her family and her friends to just donate $8 towards the company. And she ended up raising, I think, $520 in 2 months. And the month after that, she got in a horrific car accident and actually died. And after that, her pastor actually started this thing called Rachel's Campaign. She has her own website, everything dedicated to her. And she's raised, I think, almost $2 million since her death in 2007. So now that we've talked about the history, let's talk about what they do to help combat the global crisis of not having enough water. Basically, in an interview with CBS, Scott Harrison said the mission was to provide clean and safe water to areas in developing nations so that they can be healthy. And there's him in Liberia also. How do they do this? Well, first they establish clean water wells for everybody. They also provide these, the yellow, they're gas cans, but they use them for water, because typically what they're using is dirty bowls or whatever to scoop up water and survive. So they give them cans too to help with the wells also. They have this system with private and public donors. Basically, private donors are like corporations who donate large amounts of money so that they fund basically all the administrator costs, all the traveling expenses, and everything to help build the wells. And then the public donors are just like everyday people who donate, and they pretty much fund almost 100% of the wells being built. They're made up of 20 full-time employees, 10 interns, and about 800 volunteers, and this is all listed on their website. And then along with this, they're also really good at advertising. The advertisements are totally funded by private donors. They also, they kind of put an American aspect on dirty water, and by this I mean like a picture like this, because typically you're not feeding, in America you're not using dirty waters in bottles, so that's how they get a good perspective into American life. So now I'm going to move on to examples of projects that they do. Basically, they're 100% funded by public donors. All the wells are GPS traceable, and they're also established in over 80 countries, most of which are in Africa. And there's another example of the kind of wells that they build. They also have things called birthday projects, and it's just like Rachel, where you, for your birthday, you just ask people to donate money to the organization. They just call it Pledge Your Birthday. They have their own website dedicated to this project alone because it's so big for them. The most recent successful one was in 2010, was Lori's birthday project. It was this young boy who was turning 6, and he just asked everybody to donate $6 to the organization, and he raised about $2,500 in a month because his whole town started to donate for him. And he decided to donate all that money to a village in Rwanda. And then there's Laura. So, in conclusion, the water crisis is a really big thing. So what I talked about today was, the history behind Charity Water, what they do to combat this crisis, and as well as example of projects. Thanks everybody for listening.